Welcome to Passionier Magazine, the podcast, where you'll hear inspirational stories, encouraging news, and in-depth interviews with authors, influencers, CEOs, and thought leaders. Passionier Magazine, the podcast. Bold ideas, brave pursuits, boundless inspiration. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I am so glad that you are here. Welcome to Passionier Magazine, the podcast.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here.
Absolutely. Now, I realize that there are so many people who are watching who already know who you are, of course, but there may be some folks who are listening in or watching that are unfamiliar with you and your work. So, before we get started, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself? What makes you you?
Absolutely. My name is Patrika Alis Cheston. I'm a marketer by trade, and I run a marketing agency focused on startups called Roundology. But I'm also a sustainable tourism advocate who focuses on making travel more accessible and available to everyone.
Oh, I love that. And a woman of many hats. I am finding that more and more of our women that are in the entrepreneurial space, that they're not just doing one thing, right? That we're realizing that we are multifaceted people and we are tapping into all of our gifts and talents. And I think that is really making the world a better place because we're not just trying to do one thing, but we really are sharing everything that we have. I love that. Now, you said some awesome and amazing things there. So let's kind of tap in just a little bit. You have had a dynamic journey as a woman who is on purpose, who is walking in her purpose, as I like to say, and one that is of influence, and not that type of influence where it's like just for the gram, right? But you're really
Mhm.
trying to be the person that you talk about. And I think that is so important. With that being said, have there been any moments in particular that have really helped you to embrace the all that you are?
Absolutely, yes, and thank you for that encouragement. I really appreciate it. I do try to live a very purposeful life, and I have been through quite a bit as someone who works in startups. It's a very challenging world, and there's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of thinking that you're essential, and then they're kicking you off the team. It's a very chaotic world to be a part of, but I love it because I like a little bit of excitement. But I would say one moment that really stood out to me was a moment where I pitched myself to speak for a conference. And this was a huge conference that is known very broadly in the marketing world. It's called Inbound. And when I got accepted, I was completely thrown off, just completely surprised because I didn't expect anyone to want to hear what I had to say. But my topic really resonated with them, and people were just so amazed at the topic that I had chosen. And when I went on stage, I gave my speech and I talked and I just told my story and I talked about my marketing beliefs. And at the end, someone came up to me and just told me that my confidence on stage was what really inspired them. And that made a difference in how they were going to approach their next time that they had to present in a meeting. And that meant so much to me. And that told me that the way that I present myself matters, the words that I say matter. And you never know, even just portraying that confidence, even when I myself was feeling very nervous, very, very overwhelmed by being on such a big stage for the first time, that made someone else's journey move a little bit more forward. And that was so impactful to me and encouraged me to keep moving forward in my journey as well.
And it's really interesting that you say that, and thank you for sharing. Because for so many people, I don't think that they realize that the person before them is still human, right? That we're still
Yes.
feeling the excitement or the concern, like, I really want to make sure that people get these nuggets that I'm
Right.
leaving for them. Like, because we poured our all into these presentations, right? But at the
Yes.
same time, I think it says a lot about who you are, that you were humbled in the moment of they picked me, Oh, wow, that's awesome because it shows that you really and truly are living in that purpose as
Yeah.
opposed to, like I said before, really just trying to do it for someone else's approval. And so
Yes.
many people have a hard time because they're trying to live in that cycle of someone else's approval and not just being their authentic self. So I
Mhm.
love that people have been able to acknowledge that in you and to want to give you a platform so that you can continue to do it. I love it. I love it. Now, speaking
Thank you.
of those attributes, here at Passioneer, we love talking to passioneers, folks that
Yes.
are living their heart, they are living with impact, and they are the type of folks who like to not only share their knowledge, but turn around and, like, grab somebody and bring them with them, right?
Yes.
With that being said, what are some ways you think in your day to day that you are able to integrate your creativity or your expression of who you are professionally while still honoring that voice of who you are personally?
That is an excellent question, and it's a big challenge and one that I find myself still navigating as I continue to grow in my career. But I think the most important thing is taking time to listen to myself. There's a lot of times where I have had the habit of kind of talking myself out of my instincts and the knowledge that I've gained throughout the years. There's a reason why I think the way I think, and I've taken the time to build a resume that has brought me to where I am today. And that is so important and it's powerful. And I think, especially we as women, we're always kind of making ourselves smaller and trying to make others in the room more comfortable. And I've started to realize just even day to day, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. What was your instinct there? It's typically correct because there's a lot of knowledge backing that up, and it's important to be able to listen to that. So, when I'm trying to do something creative for the first time, or I'm taking a step out that feels a little bit unconventional or feels scary, a lot of times it's just taking a step back, taking a deep breath, and really listening to what my mind is telling me, what my experience is telling me, and what my instincts are telling me, because there's so much that's already there. And if I trust myself enough, then I know that I can take what I've learned and apply it. And that really applies to both creative and professional and the personal life.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I find that unfortunately, some of the pauses we take is because of the learned behaviors, right? But
Yes.
someone
Mhm.
else's doubt or mistrust or their inability or the fact that it's not their vision or it's not their talent, right?
Yep.
And they have almost poured their insecurity about what your life is supposed to be into
Yes.
you, and then for whatever reason we of course want to soak in all of that, and then it makes us have those moments of pause, doubt, or worry along the way until we are reminded of exactly who we are. And
Yes.
I that is one thing that I feel that is a part of my calling of what I do, is to remind people, like you said, who am I to listen to that voice and remember you think this way for a reason, right?
Yes.
Because we have to have people that are thinking outside of the box or thinking in the box, outside of the box, away from the box, in a blue box, a
Exactly.
green box, right? Like we have to have all of these things where it's like, I don't even want a box. We're gonna put this in a circle,
Mhm.
and just to be that visionary and that dreamer. I love that. Now, when it comes to the why question, and people are always talking about that, right? Like, what is your
Mhm.
why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Now, I want to ask you in context of how you keep your why fresh. How do you keep it? I think of our why as like a flame that burns, right? It's
Mhm.
there and it helps keep our passions burning. How do you make sure that your why flame doesn't go out, that it continues to burn strong?
That is an excellent question, and I think it it it's sticking with giving that flame oxygen. So a flame cannot burn if it doesn't have oxygen. And that means that if it's covered up, if I'm hiding what makes me passionate, if I'm hiding what keeps me going or pushing it to the side, it's going to get neglected. And it's so easy to think, okay, I just got to buckle down and do this thing just so that I make my boss happy or I make, my partner happy or something like that. Whereas you have to think about what's actually going to fuel you. And for me, it's really, my family is one of the most important things in the world to me, but it's also my personal happiness and self and satisfaction, knowing that I am doing something that is making me happy, which is usually a very altruistic purpose. I am trying to help others, I'm trying to brighten the world for others, and that makes me happy. So if I take time to look at what I'm doing and think, is that making me happy? Is that allowing me to help other people? Then I know that I am giving oxygen to that flame and that I'm going to keep going. Because every time that I start stepping away from the things that I truly love and the things that I have found really empower me to keep going, those are the moments where I start to feel more anxious. Those are the moments where my projects fall apart. Those are the moments where I'm like, okay, nothing is aligned. Everything's crazy. I can't get it together. But I just take a step back and just say, what am I doing this for? Let me give some oxygen to that flame. I need to give some attention to thinking about what it is that I'm doing in the first place. And that is usually supporting my family and making the world a brighter place. And those two things are going to make me so happy. And then I'm going to feel better and keep going.
Oh, I love that answer. And I find that some of the most successful people in the world are successful not because of just because they provide a service or a product, but
Mhm.
because they have that mindset as well. What is the thing that's missing in this other person's life that I can
Yes.
help them find, that I can help them fix, right? That it is about the giving of yourself to another to help someone else. And
100%.
it really and truly makes sense. I think the older I get, the more I promise you, giving is better than receiving. Like you don't
It
understand that
truly
as a little
is.
kid and you're going like, "What? How could that be better?" Like Christmas is good when you receive gifts. I mean, you like
Mhm.
giving too. As a little kid, you don't understand. But then you get
Mhm.
older and it's like, "Oh, if I get something, I get something." But I want to see everyone else happy. I'm going to give to them. And that's kind of the best example that I can give for people, worldwide that it's like, aren't you excited when that person opens that gift and you're like, and folks are like, yeah, it's like, well, that's what it's like when you hear an entrepreneur say, if I can help you, then it was all worth it. Working 60 hours a week was definitely worth it. And I could not agree with you more. Thank you for that answer. Now, I know that I talk about legacy a lot and making sure that we are helping the next generation, that we are helping the next generation be the best that they can be. And not just girls, but everyone who needs to listen to the words that we say. But as women, I think we want to, of course, help the next generation of girls. In
Mhm.
your field of what really keeps your heart on fire, what is a legacy that you're hoping that someone will be able to look back at the end of it all and say, she changed this or she did that, and it really made a difference for them? Is there any particular area of legacy that really keeps you inspired?
Absolutely. That question is just so exciting to me because I think about the power of storytelling all of the time. That is one of my that's one of the themes that's been throughout my career as a marketer and as someone who travels and helps empower others to travel. It's really all about that story that you're telling. And I think the most important thing that I want to leave behind is empowering others to tell their stories, whether it's through experiences or whether it's through the written word. I think that being able to help young women, young girls, anyone that's coming up through the startup world, learn how to tell their story and then continue to listen to that story and have it amplified. Because in the rooms that I've been in these startups, a lot of times I'm the only one that looks like me. And it is an intimidating space to be in. But what connects us all is that we all have a story that we're telling. And whether or not, that story is being told on the golf course or in the boardroom or in, a garage for a startup, it's really still a story. Like there's something that everybody wants to tell. And I think a lot of times as women, our stories are pushed to the back burner. And what I try to do in my daily life is really find ways to amplify those stories, because I think as anyone grows in their career, anyone has a step up and they have an ability to amplify the voice of someone that's coming up behind them, that is the best way to leave a legacy. And that's the best way to make an impact.
I love that. I love that. Patrika, thank you so much for coming on and spending some time with me here on Passioneer Magazine, the podcast. I couldn't think of a better way to end the show. Now, before I let you go, though, I know someone wants to be able to reach out to you or to follow you on socials. What's the best way to do that?
Yep, I'm at Patrika Alis, Patrikaalis, on basically every major platform. And you can also find my company at roundology.co.
I love it. Thank you again for being a guest on Passioneer Magazine, the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Passioneer Magazine, the podcast.